Exotic weapons. They're part of what makes Destiny Destiny. By nature, exotics are created to be the cream of the crop. Beautiful in design and unique in purpose, they're the kinds of weapons that a player strives to unlock and collect. However, every graduating class has those that are magna cum laude and others that ain't cumin at all. Today we're going over what I consider to be the bottom of the barrel, the worst, most underused exotics currently in Destiny 2. And it is, of course, completely inevitable that at least one person will be mad and disagree with each pick on my list. Hey man, I main the dog 9000 sniper rifle. It's actually really good. And that's okay. It's inevitable and you are free to disagree with me. My criteria today are as follows. The exotic has to be, in my opinion, outclassed in both PvP and PvE by other options, including legendary weapons. The exotic has to have very low usage numbers on destinytracker.com for both PvE and competitive PvP activities, which I have sorted through extensively. And final criteria is just my own personal perspective, which again, you can feel free to disagree with. And if you do, by the way, be sure to let me know down in the comments section. Oh, and I know that Bungie is planning on buffing a thick number of exotics in Season 19. I'll go ahead and keep my fingers crossed that literally all of the weapons on today's list will be caught up in that glow up, because goddamn do they suck right now. But real quick, are you a solo player who's tired of playing alone? You've had it up to here with LFG and you just want non-toxic teammates you can actually talk to. Well, good news. Today's video is brought to you by EPAL. Let's give a shout out to them. EPAL provides supportive teammates across a huge variety of all your favorite games, including Apex, League, Valorant, Forknife, and even freaking Among Us. EPAL has helped more than 1 million gamers to find friends, coaches, or even soulmates through games, voice chat, and community connections. Don't wait. Hit up EPAL today and get connected with other gamers, creators, and pros to sharpen your skills or just have a fun time chatting online. Don't forget to use my link down in the video description when you sign up and get an additional $5 for free. Thank you, EPAL. All right, back to the content. Kicking off our list today at number 7, the Prospector. This one hurts a little extra for me because back when we heard grenade launchers were getting a buff and that ARC 3.0 was gonna spice things up, it seemed like all the stars were finally aligning. Prospector will finally get the love it deserves and be used as a hardcore PvE damage dealer in raids and dungeons alike. And it was hot for maybe 2 seconds, but not by design, sadly. Remember that when Season 18 dropped, there was an accidental overbuff of grenade launchers by a comical amount. Bungie scrambled the jets and got the situation taken care of quickly as to not interfere with the Day 1 raid race, but since then, Prospector has sunk down to the bottom of the exotic usage list in both PvE and PvP, which is such an extra shame because the design of the gun is actually so great. I mean, really, look at it. The handcrafted wooden handle, that gold trim, the overall sleek look. What a crime to have a thing of such beauty be sitting on the shelf. I think the exotic perk is fun for joking around, but it doesn't really hit hard when trying to use the gun as a direct damage dealer. I love the idea of sticking many grenades to a surface, then letting go of the trigger and having them all detonate in one big, glorious supernova. But the problem is when you hit an enemy directly with the nades, they auto-detonate on contact. So what the hell is the point, really? Maybe if there was some way to have all the grenades not detonate until the trigger is released, even if they're attached directly to an enemy creature or player. And maybe the more you stuck onto the enemy, the more of a damage bonus you get? I don't know. It needs something for sure. As a PvE damage dealer, it's hard outclassed by the big linear fusion rifle meta going on right now. And in PvP, the Blast Batu or any legendary grenade launcher with proxy detonation IMO would be a better pick. Right now, the only time I see people using the Prospector is before a raid encounter by blowing themselves up so they can make the raid banner drop high in the air for lulz. Pretty much the extent of the Prospector's appeal right now. A self-killing, for laughs meme gun. Next at number 6, the Two-Tailed Fox, which is a shame because again, I kinda like the design, even though it maybe looks like the weapon was made specifically to be used by the protagonist in a shoujo anime. Two-Tailed Fox is low on the usage list for both PvE and PvP, with a usage factor of 0.01% on Destiny Tracker's PvE list and a usage factor of 0.0% in competitive PvP. Yeesh. The exotic perk is interesting. Fire 2 rockets with 1 pull of the trigger. You get a solar rocket, which does damage over time, and a void rocket, which can suppress enemies. In PvE, I have to say that Two-Tailed Fox has some potential due to the new opportunities now offered by Solar and Void 3.0. You could, in theory, make a Solar or Void 3.0 build that could potentially be complemented fairly well by being paired with the Two-Tailed Fox. But I still think the majority of players would much rather have one gun that does one thing very well, as opposed to 2 elements sorta well. For example, if you're looking for a good all-solar rocket launcher that does its job well with the Solar 3.0 build, Gallarhorn is staring you right in the face. In PvP, it's really no contest. I would much rather use something like G-Horn or the Wardcliff Coil to straight up liquefy an enemy with an exotic power weapon. I think Two-Tailed Fox would either need a noticeable damage buff in PvE or some kind of exotic perk touch-up. Keep the double rocket thing because that's cool and part of the overall design, but the rockets might need to debuff the enemy harder or in a different way to get people more interested about using the exotic. Next at number 5, Merciless. I guarantee you some fusion lord out there is typing up a manifesto right now on why Merciless is actually very viable, and to a degree, they're not horribly wrong. The Merciless does have some good things on paper. High stability, a 94 recoil direction, a big fat 69 aim assist value, which by the way, higher than the loved/hated main ingredient. The only major downside for PvP is the dry heave inducing 1000 charge time. I already don't use high impact frame fusions because I find they take way too long to charge up with not enough oomph, and their default charge value is 960, meaning Merciless takes even longer to charge. Far more people would rather take main ingredient with a 780 charge time, or even something like a Timeline's Vertex with a 660. Hell, even rapid fire frame fusions are usable right now with the right roll. And before any of you say it, yeah, my beloved Devil's Ruin also has a 1000 charge time, and I love that thing to death. Well, fusion rifles are kind of a one and done when you fire off a shot, whereas the Devil is far easier to get a kill with because it fires a long-lasting, continuous beam of damage. Even if you miss the initial shot with the Devil, you can still salvage the situation and get a kill. Miss with the Merciless, and you're very likely gonna get clapped. And by the way, I know, Merciless was not designed to be a PvP weapon. At least, I believe it wasn't. It was designed to be a big bad PvE damage dealer, as indicated by the unique perk, which makes it charge faster and faster every time you land a shot but don't land a kill. But the thing is, no one in D2 is using Merciless right now to be a big bad PvE damage dealer. If we get a new artifact armor mod in Season 19 that magically made fusion rifles hit way harder or debuffed targets or something, then yeah, I could see me dusting off the Merciless. Or maybe if we got a big ol' buff to the Impetus weapon trait on that gun. Same deal. Until then though, I don't see me bringing this exotic fusion to a raid, to a dungeon, to anything. Number 4, Eyes of Tomorrow. Oh, how it pains me to have to put a raid exotic on today's list. Raid exotics are supposed to be in a different tier altogether than regular exotics. Some people grind for weeks fighting bad luck, cursing out their friends with good RNG who got it before they did, all at a shot at getting the latest and greatest raid exotic. Side note, by the way, did you know that Cool Guy has gotten the last 4 raid exotics on his first clear? Now, I'm not saying he sold his soul to the devil, but the thought definitely is in all of your heads right now. Anyway, Eyes of Tomorrow, to me, does not currently hit the mark of what an exotic weapon should be, which is a shame because the way the weapon fires, incredibly badass. It's literally the Hellzone grenade attack from Piccolo right out of DBZ. A great visual effect and nothing else like it in the game. Unfortunately, Eyes of Tomorrow has kind of a strange role as a power weapon. Its Eyes on All perk and its Adaptive Ordnance perk both lean into the role of being a crowd control type weapon, a gun to wipe out trash enemies. I don't know about you, but I don't know if I want to spend my exotic power slot on something to clear out a wave of lower level dudes. And if I do, I can probably just use a launcher with cluster bombs or even the Gallarhorn with Wolfpack rounds, which also has the added benefit of being really good on a single target as well. Add insult to injury, G-Horn like the Eyes of Tomorrow is also solar. I will give Eyes of Tomorrow one unique bit of credit though. People do use it a lot when they invade in Gambit for whatever that's worth. As you can probably imagine, I've had my fair share of Gambit these days and don't really want to go in there for any reason. But I don't think good invader weapon is really enough to save it from being on today's list. Next at number 3, Salvation's Grip. I really wish I had more to say about Salvation's Grip, but then again, that's probably one of the reasons it made my list of underused exotics. Partial credit, the grip does have some value. If you're the type of player who likes to get out of bounds a lot in D2, then yeah, you might be familiar with the grip. I had a video a while back about how to get raid loot if you're a solo player, and at least one of those routes featured using the Salvation as kind of a makeshift platforming gun. For that unique purpose, Salvation is admittedly very fun. Outside of that though, I don't really have a lot of reason to use the gun. According to Destiny Tracker, Salvation clocked in at 0.02% usage in PvE and 0.0% usage in competitive PvP. I totally get why people would not use it in endgame PvP, or really any PvP, unless your goal was to deliberately troll the enemy team. For PvE, it does have value in the ability to freeze enemies, but that's also taken care of very easily by any stasis build in general. Or I can just equip a weapon with the perk Chill Clip, which doesn't have to be an exotic, nor does it have to be on a power weapon. Salvation's Grip has fun potential as a meme weapon or a platforming explorer weapon, but not much else to me. Coming in at number 2, Queenbreaker. To my complete lack of surprise, Queenbreaker popped up at rank 97 out of 98 on Destiny Tracker's PvE usage chart. Oof. Much like Eyes of Tomorrow, the Queenbreaker is essentially an exotic that I never see in usage anywhere except maybe in Gambit. And even then, it's used as an invader weapon. And at that point, why not just use Arbalist or Lorentz Driver? They're also linear fusion rifles, but they don't require power ammo, and I'd probably rather use both of them in PvE over the Queenbreaker anyway. Queenbreaker has gotten so power crept over the years, it's not even funny. The concept of blinding enemies on a hit is kind of neat, but most low-level enemies are going to get french fried by a power weapon anyway. Chonkier enemies can get blinded, sure, but usually the plan is to use your power weapon to nuke chonkers, not blind them. I have multiple grenade launchers that can easily blind enemies for the low cost of green ammo. And that also comes with the added benefit of being able to blind people in a group, not just a single target. And besides, Bungie loves now throwing champions at us in endgame PvE, and they can't even be blinded. I kind of think Queenbreaker needs some real help, and I'm not even sure what the answer would be. Dealing even more damage to, and the rare ability to maybe blind champions could be a big leg up in certain PvE activities. Maybe something in the DPS department too would help out, because right now Storm Chaser calls up the Queenbreaker late at night, starts laughing, and then hangs up. Finally, at the number 1 spot, we have Darci. Oh, Darci. I literally, not even joking right now, cannot remember the last time I used Darci for anything other than measuring the distance between me and a friend in a private lobby for testing on a weapon that wasn't Darci. It is straight up a digital measuring stick and nothing more. The unique perk Target acquired is just begging to be used as Big Boss or even Champion DPS, and yet Darci has remained wildly untouched in both PvE and PvP for way too long. Darci was 96 out of 98 on both Destiny Tracker charts, with a 0% usage in competitive PvP and a 0.01% usage factor in PvE. Completely heartbreaking. And yet I feel like it wouldn't take much to take Darci and give it the remove glasses and ponytail treatment from so many terrible rom-coms, and the gun would be incredibly hot. The perk Personal Assistant needs to be better. Aim at an enemy to view its health and other critical information? Like what? Blood type? Social security number? What information as players do we possibly need other than how much health it has right now? And you can see an enemy's health bar, by the way, by just looking at the enemy. Ain't no mystery. I read a suggestion somewhere on Reddit, Twitter, can't remember where, to let Personal Assistant make your Darci able to stun any kind of champion. Now that would be a perk I could get behind. Or maybe to debuff a target as you shoot. I don't know, anything different than what it does right now, which is next to nothing. Hashtag buff Darci. After many years of YouTubing, I've learned that after making videos like these, there's a 99% shot that I'll get called out by some Twitter user with 3 followers saying something like, hey, Dumbass, you call this weapon bad, and I have like a 12-minute montage of me crushing with it in PvP, set to Linkin Park music. What do you think about that? Which is bound to happen. If you disagree with any of my picks, or God love you if you think I wasn't being harsh enough, please let me know down in the comment section. What exotics do you think are both terrible and in need of a big upgrade? I would love to hear from you. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I appreciate you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on stream.